Today I would like to describe to you what a motivated student looks like. So I'm going to be sharing more the effect of our program rather than the principles behind it. I have a few great stories to share from this year. One is about one of our students who broke her arm in gymnastics this year, and it was a pretty devastating break and one for which she had to have surgery. And a traumatic experience for her and her mother, but her mother came and shared with me some stories that from this experience revealed how deeply this child loves school. So the first was that after she broke her arm, as she was being loaded into the ambulance at night, she looked up in the sky and took the time to point out that she could see Orion in the sky. Then at the hospital, one of the nurses' names was Athena, she saw on her name tag, so she got engaged in a discussion with her about Greek mythology. Then her mom said as she was trying to pass the time, she asked her, what would you like to do to pass the time? And her daughter said, can we practice my math facts? But the final and most touching point that her mom made to me was that when she was in the hospital, going through an experience that was very traumatic, and her mom was trying to comfort and reassure her, she could tell that her daughter wanted to go in her mind to the happiest place in her life, to go where she felt comfortable. And where was that place? It was school. That's what she wanted to think about. That's what she wanted to talk about. So that's amazing, and that is a motivated student. Second story I'd like to share is about my own daughter. And we have this field trip coming up to the Norton Simon Museum on Monday, and she had had a pre-existing appointment which I had forgotten about that would mean she would miss the field trip, and I told her this and she was really sad to hear that she might miss the field trip. Well, then it turns out that Mr. Travers had also planned a tour of the museum for adults on Saturday. So I thought, well, maybe she could attend that instead. And I asked her, how would you feel about it if you got to attend this tour for adults? And she said, oh, great, then it's fine. She'd be fine with missing the field trip. Now, that shows it wasn't the bus ride with the kids. It wasn't the social experience. It wasn't the fun of the whole group missing school together that she was interested in. She wanted to go to the museum, and she was going to miss that experience. So she could do that on a Saturday? Great. It was all about the content of the trip. And more than that, she asked me, well, will Mr. Travers have a worksheet available to me? The worksheet that he distributes to all the students so that they can do their own reading of a painting at the Norton Simon Museum. So I asked him and he said, sure, he would be happy to provide her that. And again, that was what was necessary for her to be content with missing the field trip, is if she got to go to the museum and she got to complete the worksheet. Again, a motivated student. The final story I want to share is about a child who started at this school just last week and has had only a week and a half of school here at VanDamme Academy. And here's what his mom told me. First, she said that one day he came home from school, and as you know, we have a no homework policy, so he came home from school and headed straight for the computer. And she said, just because there's no homework policy doesn't mean you're going to go play computer games right now. And he looked at her indignant and said, Mom, I'm going to research volcanoes, which was something he'd been learning about in science class that day. So for the first time, she said, in his educational history, he was desperate to immediately, when he got home, follow up on something he had learned in class. She later told me that one morning at breakfast, he said, Mom, at my previous school, my favorite classes were recess and PE. Here at VanDamme, my favorite classes are literature, history, and science. Once again, a sign of a truly motivated student. So this is what we can expect. This is what our education should have been like. And this is what I am going to offer to my students for the rest of the existence of VanDamme Academy.